We have all, at least, had that one breakup. You know the one I'm talking about. The one that makes you stare out the car window, looking at something, actually nothing. Truly looking for someone that could take the pain away. For me, I spent weeks scrubbing my shower towels, thinking I missed a spot I was sure I cleaned the week before. I missed class and then exams scrubbing my shower towels, so you know I had it bad. Real bad. If you've not had a breakup this bad, then count yourself unfortunate. I bet you thought I was going to say you're lucky. And although having your heart and your sanity spared sounds like a real good idea, you might just be keeping yourself away from powerful personal transformation and those self-help books that actually work. Surviving the mother of all breakups feels like finding gold in your own backyard while digging up weed. And I know, none of us want to go into a relationship, be in it for so long, only to realize that all the time you spend on Pinterest, looking for that perfect wedding ring, color scheme, theme, and forcing your poor favorite cousin to agree to your lofty plans at 3 in the morning were all for nothing. That, and now you're tasked with giving up all those baby names that you already committed yourself to, which I think was the hardest part. They say there are 2 types of pain, the one that hurts and the other that changes us. I have experienced a 3rd type of pain that hurt me, changed me, and gave meaning to this thing called life, which I was ever only taught to master but never befriend. See it as something that is happening to me and not through me. Something that I have to constantly work for my worth by chasing this invisible golden star on the forehead from friends, family, and foes alike, or God. Whatever name we've given this force that is way too great and gracious to be boxed or divided. 2 years ago, I walked away from a relationship that had all my youth and glory days. Days before stretch marks and lonely nights of wine and leftovers. Before I came to understand that you cannot love anyone more than yourself. And that love, true love, is freedom. I walked away from a seemingly beautiful friendship, family, partnership, partly because I was curious about what life can offer me, or rather what I can do with the life that I was given, and mostly because there was no more room under the carpet to keep all the dirty little things that people sweep away and never talk about. My decision seemed abrupt, but in all honesty, I spent an entire year thinking about it, questioning comfort. Did I really want to be a nice little wife, or did I want to find my place in the fabric of life, be at least this tiny little stitch in the tapestry of authentic living? My desire to awaken to myself was far greater than staying, so I left. But also in the past 2 years, I have gone crazy, cut my hair, dyed my hair, shaved it all off. I often wish to jump over a cliff and die for just a little while, but people don't die for a little while. People hurt, people break. I broke, I hurt. And that's the thing about pain. It interrupts life as you know it and challenges who you thought you were. As expected, the rumors spread like wildfire, some as accurate as half lies, most colorful speculation. I left him because I graduated from law school, I heard. But no one knew that when I left, I had no job, no security, no plan, no clue what I was doing, no identity, and depression. I left the man that I loved to find myself, only to realize that you don't find yourself. You create yourself. I mean, what is there to find after all? A person is forever changing. I met him when I was 15. We fell in love on a school holiday after talking for hours about favorite colors, horses, and tennis. I experienced love for the first time, the only way a 15-year-old could. And in that moment and every day of my life, until I learned to question the things I was taught to be the only truth, I wanted to hold his hand forever. Now, I have to admit, our relationship was beautiful. Who would believe that I was unhappy if I wore this perfect curve of deception? Not necessarily because of what he did or did not do, but because of this bump of curiosity that usually dies with childhood but never left me. We grow up with fairy tales where pixie dust and true love's kiss fixes all. By the time I was 10, I had memorized all the words to Disney's love stories, Anastasia being my favorite. Somehow the idea of Dimitri, which by the way was one of my choice baby names, finding the long-lost Duchess, heir to the Romanov Empire, appealed to me. We're taught about forever afters, but not what happens after forevers are not kept. We are taught as women to be a woman for our man, but not ourselves first. We are introduced to this preconceived timeline that makes us question ourselves because our high school friends are getting married, having another baby on the way, and the big 30 is approaching, a perpetual reminder that you're not getting any younger and should maybe consider freezing your eggs. If we're not hitched by 25, at least 27, then we as women are referred to as leftovers. And in the event that you do get married and don't bear children, then we are looked over and considered less of a woman. And then society goes ahead and makes us, and actually convinces us to reconsider the standards that we have set for ourselves, because we are taught that being picky is a very bad thing. Family functions, rather interviews, are filled with endless questions about where your significant other is. Like, I would want to know too. Then your ex gets married. And then you keep on seeing those gym couples with the cute little gym bags working on their fitness. And it annoys the living goodness out of you because somehow at the back of your mind, there's still this social conditioning that makes you think that the pot of gold is buried in someone else but yourself. And so we're taught to stay in relationships that do not empower us or make us happy, mother grown men or women, depending on which side you're leaning to, except to be playthings and believe in this mystical one soulmate that will save us from our very, very sad eventuality of becoming cat ladies. But after you've survived the mother of all breakups, you start seeing things a little differently. Firstly, in the words of Robert Seacon, you understand that everybody needs a place, but it should not be in someone else. We make this big mistake of losing our sense of self and our identities in relationships. You get introduced as Jim's wife, Mike's girlfriend, and by the time things have stopped making sense, you have spent countless weekends watching rugby, of all things, with his friends because he convinced you that yours was no good. Surviving the mother of all breakups has taught me to compromise, but never hide my true self for another. That I actually never wanted to be a good little wife. No, I wanted to be a badass woman. You also understand that marriage is not the most important thing, and it really is not. Now, don't get me wrong, I still look at wedding dresses, follow at least 5 wedding blogs on Instagram, but it does not feel like it's going to be the greatest achievement of my life. No. What happened to impacting my community, changing lives, becoming a well-rounded individual, jumping over tall buildings in a single bound, building my mom her dream house, or not depending on one source of income, which I believe no one can live on? Now, those are the things I aspire to. Marriage is welcome, of course. Surviving the mother of all breakups will also force you to go home to yourself. And it teaches that to love yourself is the greatest love of them all, because we are taught so very wrongly that to love yourself is selfish, at worst, narcissistic, absolutely unthinkable. But the you that you are deserves one hell of a love story, and the good news is you can actually give it to yourself. Now I have to advise, little dinner dates, flowers, lit some candles. Please yourself whichever way you desire. How cool is that? Surviving the mother of all breakups also teaches that love is not a feeling, it is a choice. It is an action to extend yourself towards another. And that is but a humble definition of what love is, because to understand love is to understand God, and we have all failed in that attempt. So many of us hang around places where love is no longer served because we're truly afraid to be alone. We run from ourselves and run into relationships and situationships, titleless seeing each other's, all for the sake of having company, a distraction from dealing with yourself, healing yourself, going to the places deep within yourself that is still bruised from things that should not have happened to any child. The mother of all breakups creates the space where you can have communion with yourself. Figure out who you are as an independent individual and depend so very deeply on yourself for love, affirmation, honor, and all those sweet nothings you wish to be whispered into your ear by a soothing, seductress voice. Lastly, but most importantly, the mother of all breakups brings to us these amazing opportunity to reinvent ourselves. Beyond the more typical revenge body, it's the sort of transformation that transcends the usual skin-deep rhetoric. Call it a shift of consciousness, a spiritual awakening, if you will. You try new things, read new books, lose yourself in George Orwell's 1984 or the 48 Laws of Power. You realize that 5 plus 4 equals 9, but so does 6 plus 3, and that life is so much more fluid than we think. Often this existential crisis allows you to explore divergent futures and possibilities, and life gives you options, or rather the option to live life on your own terms. Surviving the mother of all breakups has given me the courage to go after everything that scared me, like standing here today. If I could survive my heart being crushed into millions of pieces and get over the days that I had to convince myself to shower instead of cleaning the shower, there's not a damn thing that I cannot do. So if you have survived the mother of all breakups, congratulations. You may be broken, but hopefully into better shape. If you have never experienced the mother of all breakups, don't worry, it's coming, and you will certainly survive. Thank you.